What's going on, people in YouTube land? KimchiChris here, and welcome to today's extra spooky video. That's right, I felt it was only right to talk about this terrifying time of year, and we talk about bands on this channel, we talk about music, we talk about rock and roll, so I thought, what better time than to bring up 5 bands that should be essential on your Halloween playlist. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about 5 spooky bands that should be played at every Halloween party, and we're not going to go the easy route. This would be a very easy video to do if we talked about bands like Kiss, Alice Cooper, Marilyn Manson, Gwar, Ghost, things of that nature, but I'm going to highlight 5 bands that maybe are just a little bit under your radar, but should not be under anyone's radar, because these 5 bands are amazing, and we're going to tell you about the bands, and I'm going to give you an album recommendation from each of them. And first up, we have someone who's been in the game quite a while. Let's talk about Wednesday 13. Now, some people do know him from Murder Dolls, and some people know him as a horror personality and things like that, but I do feel that he's never quite broken through to that next level. He has never quite got the, praise and mainstream attention that I feel he honestly deserves. I think he should be right up there with Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson as one of those current, spooky guys out there making music and things of that nature, because he's got quite a catalog at this point. His newer stuff is kind of veered in a different direction, but it's still very theatrical, still very evil, still very scary, and it's really good stuff. But honestly, I like his older material a little bit better at this point, the stuff that was a lot closer to Alice Cooper and was very tongue-in-cheek and just a little bit ridiculous. That's what I love about spooky music. I love it when it's, scary, but a little bit self-aware, and that's pretty much what Wednesday 13's older catalog is about. With song titles like I Walked with a Zombie and Buried by Christmas, this is B-grade movie greatness put to music, and it's really awesome stuff. You definitely need to check it out if you're into old school rock and roll, a little bit of metal, punk, glam, what have you. There's a whole catalog of great stuff from this guy. If you want to have a great starting point, from my personal opinion, I would start with Fang Bang. Fang Bang is the quintessential album with my favorite version of his style. If you check out his more current stuff, it's a very different style, and while it's good, you might not see what I'm really talking about, so definitely check out Fang Bang if you're wanting to get into Wednesday 13 and see the Wednesday 13 that really made me get into his music. And next up, we got a good one. We got a really good one. They're all good ones, but we got a specifically good one. We have Calabrese. That's right. If you've never heard of Calabrese, what are you doing with your life? Check out Calabrese. If you're into punk rock or rock and roll, these are the guys for you. They started out as pretty much a straightforward, scary punk band, horrorcore band, whatever you want to call it, and they've kind of transitioned into a darker, more gritty band. Basically, imagine starting out as the Misfits and the transition from Sam Hain to Danzig and things of that nature for Glenn, and you kind of get what Calabrese is doing all in one band at this point. And their new records are still really, really good. Their old records are really, really good. The middle ground records are really, really good. But similar to Wednesday 13, I like the side where they were kind of at their peak of being a little bit goofy and a little bit self-aware, but still very serious as far as the music being great and rocking. And as a result, I would recommend you guys checking out the Dayglow Necros record. This is an amazing piece of scary rock and roll, punk rock, whatever you want to call it. It's great. They made a bunch of awesome videos that are like Trauma style for this record, a whole trilogy of videos, and it's really great. They also have a very cool look about them. They kind of look like the Ramones meets Guitar Wolf in a horror movie. Lots of leather, lots of cool stuff, lots of posing on stage, lots of awesomeness all around. Calabrese is a band that I've always thought should be a little bit bigger than they are, if not a whole lot bigger than they are. And really the way I discovered them was one year at Dragon Con. We were walking around all the bands. There's a lot of goth bands there and a lot of filk musicians and things of that nature, and these guys were at their booth in full leather with all these crazy shirt designs, and I said, we gotta check those guys out. We gotta check those guys out. We went to the show and we're blown away. So definitely check out Calabrese. They should be on every Halloween playlist from here till the end of time. Next up, we have a band that I am admittedly a little bit biased about, since I am friends with the people in the band, but they belong on any Halloween playlist, I would say, ever, and they are super spooky, and their whole demeanor is related to this time of year, and we are talking about Fable Cry. That's right, Fable Cry is a band that's on the upward spiral right now and really should be on your radar. I feel that, again, not enough people know them. That's why we're talking about them here. And musically, they're a rock band just like all these others, but they are very, very unique. Basically, imagine Tim Burton starting a rock band. And you're starting to get an idea about it. It's basically creepy, yet a little bit childish, but you can still tell there's something very sinister behind the scenes going on, and you really just wouldn't want to turn your back on these guys in a dark alley. You can tell that through the music, even though they're good people, but that's the vibe that it gives, kind of like a Tim Burton soundtrack, and it's amazing. They've even covered Nightmare Before Christmas songs. It makes perfect sense, and their stage show is just ridiculous with props and costumes and puppets and all kinds of theatrics. I mean, these guys come from a school of classic macabre performers like Alice Cooper, and you can really, really see that in the stage show. I mean, when they played recently, funny enough, also at Dragon Con, there were some props and things in the show that straight up came out of the Welcome to My Nightmare tour book, basically. But that being said, this band is amazing and you really need to check them out for sure. And as for records to check out, that's an easy one because they don't have a huge catalog. You definitely want to check out their latest release. We'll show you where the monsters are. It's great, it's funny, it's macabre, it's evil, and it's done very well. So you definitely want to check that out if you're looking for some brand new spooky music in your life. And for our fourth band on the list, we have one that's a little bit new to me, but as soon as I learned about their shtick and looked a little bit more into them, I fell in love, and that is the Jasons. That's right, it's a band that's based around Jason from Friday the 13th, and they play Ramones-style punk rock. What's not to love about that? These guys are great. They're very much traditional punk rock in the style of Ramones. They don't really vary much from that style, but they are huge Kiss fans and have a lot of references to them as well as hair metal in general. So if you kind of are a little bit, you know, standoffish, you're like, well, I'm more of a rock and roll guy, there's some stuff in there for you, even if you aren't a huge punk guy. I would definitely recommend checking them out. Some of their videos they have on YouTube here are ridiculously funny. They even have a record where they cover a bunch of Ramones songs, but with Misfits lyrics. Basically, they take the Misfits songs and play them to Ramones songs. It's hilarious and completely over the top. I would have never thought about doing that, but it's a genius idea and it's executed really well, better than it probably should be. With that being said though, if you're going to check out just one record from them, I would recommend their newest one, Blood in the Streets. It pretty much just combines everything they've been working on and is a really strong, straightforward punk rock record, and you can't go wrong with it. It's great. There's songs about Friday the 13th, of course, as well as other things. They aren't just a one-trick pony, but you definitely want to check them out. They probably would hate being mentioned in this video because they're that kind of band, but definitely check out the Jasons for sure. And we're going to finish this video up with a band that is largely unknown in America, but relatively successful in Japan. And you know, there was a push for these guys a couple years back in America when they were hanging out with the Misfits and things like that. They released the records on their label, but they didn't quite stick, but they still are a band worth talking about, and that band is Balzac. And these guys are basically the Japanese version of the Misfits. There's no way to ignore it. They have very similar song structures, very similar song ideologies, lyrics, concepts. Their visuals are similar, but if you wanted a current version of the Misfits still making music, this is your band to go to. Now, these guys have been around for a long time. They've been around since the 90s, I believe, and there's a lot of music to dive into. So if you're looking for one record to really start with, Beyond the Darkness is a great starting point. It has a lot of their songs. It's kind of like a greatest hits type of compilation, and it really concentrates on the era of the band I like. They're another band that, funny enough, similar to some of these others, has kind of went in a direction that I'm not as into in recent years. It's not that it's bad, it's just not my thing. They've been putting a lot of like samples and electronics and things like that in their music. But Beyond the Darkness is a straightforward compilation of their punk rock years, and if you like the Misfits, you gotta get into Balzac because they're amazing. They're a great band. They've, I'm sure, put on a good show because it looks great and theatrical in all the videos, and I just don't know why they aren't a little bit more known in America. I mean, I know that their native tongue is Japanese, but in punk rock that doesn't matter because we're all just shouting along and going whoa, whoa, whoa if it's Misfits style punk rock anyway, so check out Balzac. You won't regret it. It'll be great, it'll be spooky, it'll be a good time. And that about does it for these 5 bands you need to check out this spooky, terrifying time of year, but don't limit listening to these bands just to this time of year. If you're checking out this video down the road, it's fine to listen to these bands at Christmas. Maybe you should listen to them at Easter. That would be a good thing at a family gathering, to put on some of the music that's in this video at a family gathering on Easter. I think you would have a very good time. But with that being said, what do you guys think of these bands? Are you already a fan of any of these bands? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to check any of these bands out for the first time because of this video? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe you checked them out and you hated them or you loved them. Let me know in the comments below. I want to know what your thoughts are as we continue to build this kimchi community. You guys have been great as of late and I really appreciate it. And that about does it for this video. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button and hit the alarm so you actually get all of the updates. Smash that like button because it really helps the channel out. Once again, my name is KimchiChris and I will see you guys on the next video.